Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise, dig into the sources, and really pull out the key insights for you.
That's the plan.
And today, wow, we are plunging into a world that really took over the conversation. Marvel's Spider-Man 2?
Oh, yeah. It was huge.
I mean, this game wasn't just a success, right? It smashed records,
Yeah.
became PlayStation's fastest-selling first-party title.
Instantly.
And the reviews. A 90 on Metacritic, 97% recommendation on OpenCritic. Critics loved it.
He did. Gene Park at the Washington Post, he praised that increasing tension between Peter and Miles
Yeah.
and the whole Harry Osborn friendship arc. He called it satisfying to watch, even with the tragedy baked in.
Yeah, and Matt Miller over at Game Informer, he highlighted the deeper stuff,
Yeah.
like returning from a dark place, getting another chance, big philosophical ideas.
Definitely. The acclaim was, well, undeniable, but, and this is the interesting part, despite all that praise, the game also kicked up this massive storm of discussion, debate, confusion, you name it, among the fans.
A very passionate fan base.
Extremely. So our mission today, we're going to unpack the why behind all that. Why did some fans feel that way? We want to connect those feelings, those strong reactions, back to the creative choices Insomniac made.
Choices around the story, right? The characters.
Exactly. Especially where there was maybe some confusion, like with ambitious narrative threads, sudden character shifts, and those hints about the future. Hints that felt maybe promised, but then seemed to change.
Yeah, the DLC situation comes to mind.
We'll get there. The goal here is really to build up that curiosity, explore the tension, and raise the stakes for what comes next in this whole Spider-Man universe they're building.
Got it. So this isn't just a recap of the plot. It's about what didn't happen, maybe what got changed from the comics or expectations, and what could still happen.
Right. How Insomniac pushed boundaries, navigated those tricky fan expectations, sometimes successfully, sometimes maybe creating friction, and how that whole process created this, well, compelling conversations, sometimes a contentious one.
Okay, let's dive in. Let's untangle this web.
The narrative's web, a tale of two spiders and shifting tones.
All right, so let's start at the absolute core, the heroes themselves. For the first time in one of these main games, we had both Peter Parker and Miles Morales as main playable characters.
A true duo this time.
Yeah, you could swap between them in the open world. They had their own specific missions. Yeah. It was a big step up from the first game and the Miles Morales standalone.
It really was. And what's key here is how that dual structure wasn't just like a gimmick. It fundamentally changed the narrative approach and, I think, player investment.
How so?
Well, Insomniac didn't just give us two Spider-Men to look cool, they seriously expanded the gameplay for both. Traversal got upgrades, combat. Peter gets the symbiote suit, obviously, with totally unique powers.
Right, the tendrils and everything.
Yeah, well, Miles keeps his Venom powers, the camouflage, all that distinct stuff. And it wasn't just cosmetic. They had separate skill trees, plus a shared one.
Okay, so you felt like you were actually developing both characters.
Exactly. Your investment felt meaningful for each of them. It wasn't just Peter with a sidekick. And they wanted you to feel that right away.
You mean that opening? The Sandman fight?
Oh, yeah. That was the statement piece. Brian Intihar, the creative director, he said they worked on that sequence for a long time.
I bet. It was insane.
The whole point was to show off the PS5, sure, but crucially, to establish that two Spider-Man concept from minute one. Intihar said they wanted to show everything is being leveled up in the first, 20-30 minutes.
Talk about setting the bar high. Did that maybe create an issue later? Like starting so big?
That's a fair question. It definitely set a benchmark. And that massive spectacle, I think, also played into the game's overall tonal shift.
Ah, the darker tone.
Yes.
Bill Roseman from Marvel Games mentioned that, right?
He did. He described it as a little darker. He even compared it to The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh.
Yeah, contrasting it with the first game, which he saw as more like the original Star Wars. That comparison alone tells you a lot. It signals a more challenging, maybe more tragic chapter. Less optimistic origin story, more middle chapter grit.
Okay, but Spider-Man, at his core, has that optimism, that hope was going darker a risk. How do you do that without losing the essence of Spidey?
That's the tightrope walk, isn't it? Because you're right, fans cherish that aspect. Insomniac tried to balance it. The story kicks off, 10 months after Miles Morales?
Yeah, Peter's struggling, mortgage, job, real life stuff hitting hard on top of the hero gig.
Exactly. And then you layer in Harry Osborn's situation, terminal illness, then this miraculous recovery thanks to the symbiote. It immediately sets up this heavy, tragic friendship dynamic. The seeds for darkness are planted right there.
So the darker tone felt necessary for that story.
I think so. But how do you make that conflict deep without losing the heart? That's where the other side comes in. The game makes time for these quiet little moments of humanity, friendship, and emotion.
Right, the stuff outside the mask.
Yeah. Intihar's favorite moment. He said it was that mission in Queens with Harry and Peter. Why? Because it was the least Spider-Man content.
The high school flashback.
Yeah, breaking in, reminiscing. He said it was designed so players would buy into the rest of the story and their characters because you understand their history, their bond, before everything goes sideways.
Makes sense. You need that foundation.
Yeah.
Like the Coney Island sequence, too.
Exactly. Peter, Harry, MJ, playing games, riding roller coasters, just friends hanging out. It grounds everything. It establishes the emotional stakes before the darkness hits, so you feel what's being threatened. It's the counterpoint.
I remember that Coney Island bit feeling so normal. Almost forgot I was playing a superhero game for a minute. But did those moments land for everyone? Or did some feel like they were, I don't know, just brief stops before the plot train really took off?
That's part of the debate we'll get into, the pacing. But those character beats weren't just for Peter's crew. Think about Haley Cooper.
Miles' friend, the artist who's deaf.
Right, that side quest where she teaches another graffiti artist. It was widely praised. It showed her perspective so imaginatively, so movingly. It wasn't just about accessibility, though that was great. It was about deep character development beyond the main plot.
So those quieter moments were crucial groundwork.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They make the tension, the darker stuff feel earned because you actually care about these people, not just the masks they wear.
The Symbiote saga, promises, and pacing.
Okay, so if the two Spider-Man thing was one huge pillar, the other, maybe even more anticipated, was the symbiote, the black suit.
The main event for many.
And Insomniac made it clear this wasn't just going to be another suit on lock. They apparently talked about that for the first game and decided against it.
Right. They felt it needed a significant role. It bonds with Peter, starts twisting him, messing with his relationships.
Yeah.
A core part of the narrative.
They really wanted to dig into that personal horror, that descent for Peter.
Absolutely. The intention was clear. A deep character arc, almost an allegory for addiction. Yuri Lowenthal, who voices Peter.
Brilliant performance, by the way.
Phenomenal. He actually researched behaviors of addiction for playing symbiote Spidey. He even drew parallels to voicing Sasuke Uchiha, another character battling inner darkness.
Wow. So the commitment to that depth was there from the start.
It seems so. But here's where the tension starts for some players. For an addiction allegory to really hit home, you often need that sense of a gradual slide, right? A slow burn where you feel the character losing themselves.
Yeah, it takes time.
But in the game, Peter canonically has the suit for, well, it feels very brief. Some fans calculated it as maybe only 2 or 3 in-game days across a handful of missions.
That does sound quick for such a massive change.
It really does, and that compression, that speed, made his descent feel less like this insidious psychological battle and more like, I don't know, an abrupt plot point for some. It arguably weakened the very allegory they were aiming for.
So the pacing felt off.
For many, yes. That brief duration became a major point of contention. It felt like this incredibly powerful story thread got maybe shortchanged, a source of real tension in the community.
And then the identity of Venom himself, the big twist.
Huge twist. Harry Osborn, not Eddie Brock.
That was a massive departure from the comics, from the movies,
Yeah.
everything.
A deliberate choice. Brian Indihar said they wanted to tell an original story, one tied specifically to their version of these characters, their franchise. Making Venom Peter's best friend. That changes everything.
Emotionally, yeah. And Tony Todd is the voice.
Inspired casting. That voice. He made Venom feel like this true force of nature, just pure terror, but connecting that terror directly to Peter's closest relationship, that dramatically ups the personal stakes.
So how did that choice affect the story's core?
It made it intensely personal. Peter isn't just fighting a monster, he's fighting to save his friend, his brother figure, someone who's already dying, got this second chance, and now this happens.
Yeah, it's brutal.
That moment, Harry reclaims the symbiote after Peter tries burning it off. He transforms into this beast, uses the meteorite. It's horrifying because it's Harry. It makes Peter's desperation so much more palpable. Can he save him? Is Harry truly lost? That's the core conflict, driven by that personal connection. It creates immense tension.
Okay, we have to talk about the DLC now. Or rather, the lack thereof.
Right, the elf in the room.
Insomniac confirmed no story DLC planned for Spider-Man 2, which was surprising.
Massively surprising. especially because of the ransomware attack.
Ah, yeah. That horrible situation where Insomniac got hacked and tons of internal data leaked online.
Exactly. And that leaked data apparently confirmed the existence of Spider-Man 2's DLC. Details like a specific villain arc, even symbiote bosses.
So the plans were seemingly there.
And then
Canceled.
that's what it looked like. And this wasn't just a minor thing. It really highlighted the harsh realities of AAA game development today.
How so?
Well, it shows even top studios like Insomniac are constantly juggling huge ambitions with, massive budgets, tight deadlines, and now even things like data breaches throwing a wrench in the works. Difficult choices have to be made. What gets cut? What gets maybe repurposed?
It's a tough balancing act.
It really is. And this DLC situation created a lot of confusion and, maybe some anxiety for fans, wondering what happened, why cancel something that seemed to be in progress.
Did the leaks give any clues?
The leaks were pretty detailed. There was talk of a debug mode accidentally left in an update that revealed an entire potential storyline, maybe centered on Carnage.
Carnage DLC. Wow.
Yeah. So why the shift? Speculation time. Some think maybe that content is being saved, maybe reworked for that leaked Venom spin-off game people are talking about.
Okay, so not cut, just moved.
Possibly. A strategic shift. Others wondered if the hack itself caused the cancellation, but most sources think that's highly unlikely to be the only reason. A more plausible factor. Maybe Insomniac needed to shift resources, focus on Marvel's Wolverine. Because of ballooning AAA budgets and lengthy development times, that's a constant pressure.
So, standard industry challenges potentially amplified by the leak.
Pretty much. And it leaves this big question mark. Is that leaked content gone forever? Or will we see it pop up later, maybe in that Venom game, maybe in Spider-Man 3? It leaves this real sense of curiosity, of unresolved potential. What did we miss out on? Where might those ideas show up?
Fan frenzy and story scrutiny rushed or misunderstood.
Okay, so despite the glowing reviews and the technical achievements, there's this other side. A significant chunk of the fan base, especially if you look at places like Reddit, had issues.
Definitely. Passionate debate is maybe an understatement.
A major point seems to be the pacing, particularly in the final act. Lots of comments calling the third act rushed or underwhelming.
Yeah, that came up a lot. Things like, the symbiote invasion arc was only like 4 missions, or the city is only visibly different for 3 of them. That suggests a feeling of build up without enough payoff time.
Right, like the world changes, but you don't get to live in it for long.
Exactly. And this connects back to Peter's symbiote arc. We talked about the addiction allegory and tension.
Yeah, Lowenthal researching it and everything.
Right. But many fans felt that arc itself was short and half-baked. His personality seemed to degrade too quickly. He wasn't really showing legitimately mean behavior until right near the very end.
So it wasn't gradual enough?
That was the feeling. One common complaint was the shift from good Pete to Bully Maguire to anti-Venom Pete in 2 hours. Especially jarring given he only had the suit, canonically, for maybe 2 days or 6 missions out of 34.
That is fast. It really strains that addiction metaphor if it happens that quickly.
It does. The community seemed hungry for that slower burn, that feeling of really watching Peter struggle and fall over time, feeling that tension build mission by mission. Instead, it felt accelerated.
There was that great pot analogy someone used on Reddit.
Oh yeah, I saw that. It was something like, if we're gonna use the same size pot as last night's dinner while throwing a ton more ingredients in that pot when it's already filled to the brim, things are gonna get messy.
That nails it, doesn't it? Trying to cram too much Peter's symbiote, Harry's illness, Kraven's whole hunt, Miles' story, Venom's invasion into maybe too short a time, especially compared to the first game's pacing.
Right. It created this tension between the clear narrative ambition and the perceived execution within the game's runtime. Did they try to do too much, too fast?
And that feeling extended to Venom himself.
Absolutely. Big time. A lot of criticism there. Fans calling Venom out of character, generic and lame, feeling he was barely in the game.
Generic. How so?
The feeling was he got boiled down to being a cool-looking monster that wants to take over the world. Which... Okay, world domination is a classic villain trope, but many expected something more personal, more targeted.
More like the traditional Venom Spider-Man dynamic, that intense personal hatred.
Exactly. A targeted attack on Peter, not necessarily an Avengers-level threat that the 2 Spider-Men just happen to wrap up in just a day.
Resolving a global symbiote invasion in a day does feel quick.
It does. And this deviation, making Venom's motivation this grand heal the world by infecting everyone plan, it felt less compelling to some than that classic focused vendetta. It diluted what makes Venom unique for many fans.
Especially when Inti Har himself had apparently said in interviews Venom wasn't going to be about taking over the world.
Yeah, that specific point definitely fueled some disappointment when the game seemed to go in that direction. It brings up that constant friction, creative freedom versus staying true to beloved lore. How do you adapt without alienating the people who love the source material? It's always tricky.
And the critiques didn't stop with Venom, right? Other characters came under scrutiny too.
No, they didn't. Miles, for instance. Despite being a co-protagonist, many felt he had little to nothing to contribute to that core symbiote story. He felt sidelined at points, almost forced to be in the story rather than integral to its main conflict.
That's tough for a dual protagonist game.
Yeah. And Harry's motivation, his turn. Some felt that was forced, too, that his anger at Peter maybe felt unjustified given the circumstances, which, again, strains that emotional core they worked to build.
So, key relationships maybe didn't land perfectly for everyone.
It seems that way for a segment of the audience. And then there's the stuff that happened off-screen. The killing off of Shocker and the Sinister Six, except for Doc Ock, off-screen.
Right. Kraven takes them out, but we don't see it.
Exactly. Viewed by many as a huge missed opportunity. Think of the boss fights we could have had. Iconic moments just narrated. It left people wondering why potential highlights were skipped.
And there were whispers about why. Like, maybe focusing on the MJ missions.
Yeah, there was speculation that prioritizing the MJ stealth missions, which were themselves unpopular with some players, might have led to cuts elsewhere. We don't know for sure, but it fed into that rushed feeling.
It creates this sense of what could have been.
Yeah, totally. And that connects to the pacing again. One user pointed out, the game sort of wants you to do side quests alongside the main story to pad it out. But if you follow the story's urgency, like Venom is invading right now, you barely experience that cool Venom-infected city look. It's gone in maybe an hour or two of playtime.
So the spectacle felt underused because the plot was moving so fast.
Exactly. It highlights this tension between wanting narrative drive and wanting to soak in the world building and environmental changes. And for many, the balance felt off in that third act.
Villains, allies, and the looming threats.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the villains and allies who did get significant screen time, starting with Kraven the Hunter.
What an entrance he made.
Seriously. He comes to New York, basically turns it into his private hunting reserve for superpeople. His motivation is dark, too terminally ill, wants an equal to kill him in a fight, an honorable death through combat.
He was genuinely terrifying, a force of nature in his own right. And that ruthlessness was key to establishing him.
You mean how he took out other villains?
Yeah. That choice to have him kill Scorpion, Electro, Vulture, Shocker, all off screen. We mentioned it, polarized fans missed boss fights versus effective character building.
Right. It definitely showed he wasn't messing around. Made him instantly credible as a top-tier threat. Put Peter and Miles squarely in his sights.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And his eventual death, killed by Venom. It fulfills his grim wish, finding that equal, just maybe not the one he expected. Adds a layer of dark irony.
That sequence where he forces Dr. Connors back into being the lizard, that really showed his methods. Brutal.
It did. It showed how far he'd go. And it directly led to Peter getting the symbiote. So Kraven was a catalyst for that whole arc too. He really shook up the status quo.
Beyond Kraven, though, the game leaves a lot of other characters in interesting places, doesn't it? Fates decided, paths changing.
Yeah, it's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
There's a lot of setup for the future, a lot of ongoing threads. Creates that curiosity, keeps you wondering.
Like Sandman.
Right. After that opening chaos, he's captured, but Peter and Miles help him recover his memories. He seems to be on a path of reform, maybe an anti-hero down the line.
The Tombstone, he was already trying to go straight.
Yeah, and he escapes Kraven, thanks to the Spider-Man. So still out there, maybe owing them one. Dr. Connors is cured, back to human form, but he's really worried about the symbiote. His connection to Norman Osborn could make him important later.
What about Mysterio?
Quentin Beck seems to have genuinely sworn off villainy after his whole corrupted theme park thing. But he gives that warning that tech is still out there. Someone else could become Mysterio.
Always leaving the door open. Black Cat.
Skips down to Paris, apparently happy.
Yeah.
But it's Black Cat. She could always come back.
And Martin Lai, Mr. Negative. He had a big role.
Huge arc for him. Reconciles with Miles, finds some peace, even helps Peter get the anti-Venom symbiote. That suggests a real redemption path, which raises the stakes for what forgiveness means in this world.
Wraith, too, Yuri Watanabe.
She helps Peter with the flame side quests, then walks off to continue her own brand of justice. Her story is clearly not finished.
It feels like a very dynamic world, with all these characters evolving.
It does, and even smaller side stories add texture. Like that Monstering Queens mission, a blind woman adopts a hunter drone dog. Just a lovely touch of humanity.
Yeah. Or the Prowler stashes giving more background on Aaron Davis, Miles' uncle, adds depth.
Exactly. But amidst all this, new shadows are definitely emerging. The ending, the side quests, they are explicitly setting up some major future threats. This is where the curiosity and the stakes really ramp up. You can see the pieces moving on the board.
Okay, let's break those down. First up, the big one, Norman Osborn.
Oh yeah, Green Goblin incoming. Norman is devastated by Harry being comatose. He blames the Spider-Man, and then we hear him tell someone to prepare the G serum.
Chills. That's not subtle.
Not at all. It's a pointed reference, as clear as day. Given the history between Peter and Norman, and now the tragedy with Harry, Norman becoming the Goblin is incredibly high stakes. It's personal, it's potentially devastating. This isn't just another villain. This could be the villain for Peter.
Feels like the inevitable climax, doesn't it? Okay, who else?
Carnage. Remember the flame side quests?
With the cult leader, Cletus Kasady.
Ugh.
Creepy guy.
Very. Furry red hair, clearly unhinged. He steals a symbiote sample from Oscorp and explicitly says his prophecy will unleash Carnage.
Again, not subtle.
Nope. Clear setup for Carnage as a future antagonist, maybe in DLC that got shifted, maybe in the next game. But he represents a different kind of threat than Venom. Pure chaos, pure destruction, even more terrifying, raising the stakes again. You can't reason with Carnage.
Okay, Goblin and Carnage, that's already huge. Anyone else?
There's Kraven's family.
Chameleon.
The Master of Disguise, his half-brother. Right. Kraven was apparently tracking him, but Chameleon set a trap, got away. The game implies he's still out there somewhere. Maybe he'll want revenge. Maybe he just likes hunting Spider-Man. An unpredictable threat, playing on identity and trust, keeps you curious.
And finally, a very familiar face making a return from the first game's ending.
Dr. Octopus. Otto Octavius. That post-credit scene is crucial. Norman visits him in the Raft prison. Otto refuses to give up Spider-Man's identity, but he's writing something.
The final chapter.
Exactly. Huge implications. Hints at a climactic end, maybe confirming this is planned as a trilogy. Imagine Norman and Otto, both geniuses, both with deep grudges against Spidey, potentially teaming up. That raises the stakes for Spider-Man 3 immensely. It could be the ultimate test for Peter.
Weaving the wider web Easter eggs and the Marvel Universe.
Beyond the main plot and the villain setups, Insomniac just packed this game with details. New York City feels so alive with Easter eggs, references to the bigger Marvel Universe.
It's like a playground for fans, and these aren't just throwaway jokes. They feel like deliberate world building. They're expanding their shared Marvel continuity bit by bit.
Building curiosity for other properties, like Wolverine.
Definitely. We know Marvel's Wolverine is coming from Insomniac. So you see Miles can unlock a Wolverine-style suit.
Yeah.
Nice nod. But then you find references to Madripoor.
Logan's old stomping grounds.
Exactly. And Trask Industries, makers of the mutant hunting sentinels. These little details ground Wolverine's world within this same reality and makes the shared universe feel more concrete, hinting at potential future crossovers or connections.
Smart way to do it without having Logan just show up randomly. How about other NYC heroes? Any Daredevil hints?
Oh yeah, big one. The Nelson and Murdoch law office sign is there in Hell's Kitchen, and apparently a plaque that was initially missing got added back in a patch. Clear signal.
So Matt Murdock is likely practicing law right there. Very cool.
Very. And then you have the big landmarks. The Baxter Building.
Fantastic Four HQ.
Avengers Tower, still standing tall. The Sanctum Sanctorum for Doctor Strange. They're all there on the map. It confirms these major players exist in this world, even if they don't intervene in this specific story. Makes NYC feel like the bustling Marvel hub it should be.
Any really deep cuts?
How about a statue of Lockjaw, the Inhumans' giant teleporting bulldog? Found in the financial district. You gotta look closely for that one.
Huh. That's great. It really rewards exploration.
Yeah.
But it's not all serious lore building, right? There's some fun meta stuff too.
For sure. Gotta have the humor, balance out the darkness. You can spot the Insomniac Games logo on a manhole cover. There's a container marked VNM 252.
a nod to Amazing Spider-Man, #252, Venom's first appearance.
Exactly. There's a cameo from the Kind of Funny Spider-Man, and you can even recreate that Spider Point break meme, Peter posing midair while someone falls.
Love that. And Stanley.
Always gotta understand the man. There's a statue of him in the Upper West Side, a permanent tribute right there in the game world. Keeps his spirit alive.
Okay, but the Easter egg that really blew people's minds, the one that opens up huge possibilities, the spider bots.
Ah, yes! The multiverse connection.
When you collect all those little spider bots scattered everywhere, this portal opens up. Looks just like the ones from the Spider-Verse movies.
Suspiciously similar, yeah. And out pops Delilah, an alternate universe villain. And there's a mention of Miguel O'Hara.
Spider-Man 2099 from the movies.
Right, and the whole scene is rendered in this quirky, low polygon style, like from an old game. It raises massive questions. Is Insomniac's game universe connected to the animated Spider-Verse? Or even other game multiverses?
That's wild. So maybe other spider people can show up.
It opens that door. It adds this whole other layer of possibility, of curiosity. What other dimensions are out there? Could the threats become multiversal? It really raises the stakes beyond just New York City.
The future of Spider-Man, what lies ahead.
So after digging through the story, the fan reactions, the Easter eggs, where does this leave us? What's the future look like for Marvel's Spider-Man? The game itself ends with a massive shift.
Huge. Peter Parker decides to hang up the webs, at least for a while.
Takes a break from being Spider-Man, wants to focus on rebuilding the Emily May Foundation with MJ.
Right. And he puts his full trust in Miles to protect the city. Developers have even confirmed Miles is considered the main Spider-Man going forward.
That's a monumental change. The stakes for Miles just went through the roof.
Absolutely. It pushes Miles firmly into the spotlight, tests his leadership, his abilities. It's not Peter quitting because he's angry or defeated. The game makes it clear it's a deliberate, mature choice. Focus on personal life, a different kind of helping people.
But Miles still looks at him for advice.
Yeah, Miles says he's got it covered, but will still lean on Peter. So Peter's not gone, but he's stepping back. It creates this really interesting dynamic. When will Peter get pulled back in? Because you know he will eventually, right?
It feels inevitable, but for now, it's Miles' city. A big moment for his character.
A huge moment. Passing the torch, in a way, or at least sharing it differently, sets up his growth as the primary protector.
And then, just when you think that's the big change, there's another post-credit scene, introducing someone new.
Cindy Moon, Silk.
We see her dad, Albert Moon, introducing her. It's unmistakable for comic fans. Silk is coming.
This just throws gasoline on the fire of future possibilities, doesn't it? It raises the stakes again, amps up the curiosity. Cindy's around Miles' age in the comics, bitten by the same spider as Peter.
With slightly different powers, right? Organic webbing, stronger spider sense.
Yeah, biological webs from her fingertips, a more potent spider sense, often called silk sense. Plus she's got martial arts skills. So how will Insomniac adapt her for this universe? Earth 1048. Will she be playable? Are we heading towards 3 spider people?
Imagine that dynamic. Peter, Miles, and Cindy.
It opens up so many narrative possibilities, so many new threats they could face together. It really signals Insomniac is building out this spider family in a big way.
Okay, now let's connect this back to the real-world drama. The ransomware attack in December 2023, the leaks.
Right, that unavoidable context. The attack leaked tons of sensitive information, including internal documents, future plans, studio roadmaps.
And those roadmaps seem to confirm some big things.
They did. According to the leaks, there are multiple Marvel video games in development, specifically a standalone Venom game.
A whole game focused on Venom.
Apparently. And Marvel's Spider-Man 3. The leak suggested the Venom game would actually narratively set up Spider-Man 3.
Wow, so it bridges the gap.
That seemed to be the plan laid out in the leaks. And Yuri Lowenthal has since confirmed Peter will be back in a sequel, so we know his break isn't permanent.
So this leak, it basically confirms the open threads, the setups, they're all part of a bigger plan?
Exactly. It provides this unfortunate but concrete glimpse into Insomniac's long-term vision. It validates fan speculation about cut content potentially being moved. Maybe that Carnage stuff ends up in the Venom game. It connects directly back to that whole DLC cancellation discussion.
It makes the future feel less speculative and more mapped out, even if we weren't supposed to see the map yet.
Precisely. It heightens the curiosity and the stakes, because we now have a stronger sense of the epic multi-game story they're trying to tell. Even if the reveal came under awful circumstances, it confirms these dangling threads aren't accidents, they're deliberate steps on a much larger path.
Almost makes the game's story feel intertwined with its real-world production story now.
In a way, yeah. The future isn't just hinted at. Parts of it feel almost known, laid bare, which creates its own kind of tension, wondering how they'll execute this ambitious roadmap, especially now that elements are public.
Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 clearly sparked intense conversation. We hit on the core tensions, the pacing, especially that third act, Venom's portrayal versus expectations, balancing Peter and Miles, the whole canceled DLC situation, and what the leaks revealed.
And all these debates, whether you love the game or had criticisms, they just show how invested people are. The passion is undeniable. The stakes are high when you're dealing with characters people care about this much.
Absolutely, and I think what this deep dive shows is how complex it all is. You've got these ambitious creative choices, you've got deeply ingrained fan expectations, and then you have real-world curveballs like data leaks. They all weave together to shape the game we got and the future we're anticipating.
Yeah, it's never simple. Games are subjective, sure, but the sheer amount of discussion around Spider-Man 2's story, its highs and lows, proves its impact. It made people think, it made people talk.
So looking ahead now, Miles is the main Spidey, Peter's on the sidelines for now, Norman's probably brewing up some G serum, Carnage is waiting to be unleashed, Silk might be joining the fray. The board is set for something massive.
Truly epic potential.
The big question isn't just what's next, is it? It's maybe how Insomniac takes the lessons from this incredibly ambitious, sometimes debated second chapter, and uses them to stick the landing for what comes next, to deliver that pretty epic conclusion the leaks hinted at.
Right. What did they learn from the pacing feedback, from the character critiques? How will they weave all these new threads together?
So here's something for you, the listener, to think about. Looking at that future roadmap, Green Goblin, Carnage, Silk, Miles taking the lead, the Venom spinoff, what part of that excites you the most? Or maybe concerns you? And how much do you think the voice of this passionate community will actually shape whatever future chapters Insomniac writes for this universe? It's going to be fascinating to watch unfold.